Thank you, everyone, to all those participants who have joined from different parts of the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on your time zone. So today I'm going to talk a lot about exploring the features that are available in flows, like the fall connectors, and more than that, we are going to see how and why exception handling is important. So saasguru is nothing but a platform where you can learn everything related to Salesforce. And not only learning, it includes many things. If you are confused in your career, which path of the Salesforce you need to select, that you can do, because they have a well structured Slack channel where you will find mentors. I mean, when I say mentors, I'm talking about the gurus from different parts of the world. Wherever you are located, you can just find that gurus through the Mentor Connect, and you can connect with them. And along with that, they will help you out in getting your queries resolved. Apart from that, if you are well into Salesforce ecosystem and now you are deciding to make a certification and you don't know where to study, they do have their own what do you say tailored boot camps, some courses, all that you can make use of and make your career. And yes, they do help hold some they do conduct some what do you say boot camps that are for free. Currently the boot camp which is going on, it's about Salesforce associate boot camp, and the benefit of those boot camps are they're totally free. You will get a certification from saasguru, and also on regular intervals they do conduct some quizzes and contest, and if you win that contest you do get a certification voucher. So yeah, this is about me. And yeah, I blush a lot when I see the introduction and me introducing myself. So I have started working recently in Twilio as a Salesforce developer, and I'm also a 3x certified Ranger. So Ranger is a rank in Salesforce. So people who are there already there in ecosystem, they know the value of Ranger. Apart from that, you will find me buzzing around the Salesforce ecosystem, be it on LinkedIn, be it on uh, Twitter and all that thing. So yeah, if you feel like connecting with me, here is my LinkedIn profile. Like, you can just connect with me. And if you have any doubts, any problem related to Salesforce, I can assure you that I'll always be available to help you. Yeah, it's possible that you do get the reply a little late, but you'll definitely get a reply from my end. With that said, also I write a blog. So I write a blog on a website named pantherschools.com. You can go and check out the blogs that I have written. And also on the regular intervals, I do give sessions in the SaaS group community as well as in the Salesforce community. Yeah, that's a quite small introduction about me. I don't think it's a small one, but the small one and the important thing that I would like to highlight is that I'm a philanthropist and a hard worker. And I always believe that you, as an individual, you all should have that quality to help out the people, not monetarily, through the capabilities that you have. So yeah, that's what I follow, and that's what I urge everyone to do. So yeah, we are going to see today how we are going to explore the exception handling mechanism and how we can handle the exceptions using the fault connectors that we have in Flow. Now, why I am talking, you will see a lot that I'm talking about flows. I am talking only about flows a lot nowadays. Why? I think this picture will justify my things that I want to do. So coding is necessary. If someone says coding is necessary skill for workflow automation, you can take that paper and you can do this, right? So I don't think so. As and from now onwards, I think not from now onwards, from the last 1 year with the upgrade that had been brought in Flow. For the sorry for the typo, you can see here workflow it has been written, but no, it is only about Flow. So any work automation that you want to do, most of the automations can now be done through flows. With that said, so I hope you know what is flow. If not, I have already created a video where I have explained flows. So you can go through that videos, and I'll just give you a small overview of what is flow. So flow is one of the automation tool which is available in Salesforce. And using that automation tool, you can make your business, the requirement that you have for the business, totally automated. And in that, the next important thing that we are going to see is what is exception handling. So how many of you know what is exception handling? A quick thumbs up if you know, thumbs down if you have heard this first time. So yeah, so exception handling is nothing but the process of handling the unwanted errors or unwanted things that can happen to your automated process. Okay, now what does it means is, like, you have built up something. Okay, you have built up something in such a way, like, let's suppose you have built an elevator. I mean, in your apartment you have an elevator. Okay, now you are going through that elevator, you are on the last ground floor and you want to be on the fifth floor of your apartment. So you'll make use of the elevator, right? Now when you make the use of the elevator, what happens is sometimes your elevator gets stuck between between some floors. Okay, now what do you do when it gets stuck? You press that bell icon which is the place, right? Press that bell button, right, to take a help, or you make a call from that, if there is a telephone placed on the elevator, right? So what is this? This is exception handling mechanism. I mean, your elevator has been built to lift you up from the ground floor to the floor that you want to go, right? And in that particular situation, if you are stuck somewhere, okay, between some floors, you have that exception handling. Like, that is an exception, right? It doesn't happen every time that you'll get stuck between the floors when you are getting lifted by the elevators, right? So here the exception was that you stuck between the floors. Okay, you wanted to go to the fifth floor, but you got stuck between fourth and fifth floor. Okay, so this was the exception. Now what does the exception handling mean? So now to handle this exception, what you had a bell button, right? That bell button will give a notification to the lift master or someone in your proximity to help you out, right? And then you will be bought out from that particular problem, right? So in the same way, when you automate anything using your flow or you by writing code, okay, you have automated a business process, and now you are sure that some problem might come. So that problem that might come is called exception. Okay, and the mechanism that you build to solve that problem, like you have built a screen, okay, and you say that a user will come, they will enter their details, and once they save the button and click on save button, the details will get saved. That's what your mechanism is. That's what your automated process is. Now you're saying that, hey, I forgot to tell them that the specific field is mandatory. I didn't mention that on flows. So what will happen is, as soon as the user enters the details, what happens is they won't get any error. But when they click on save button, they will get some error, but you have not provided. So that error that you get is called exception. Now, to handle those kind of error, to make my user aware of the problem that they're going to face, is done through the exception handling mechanism. So that's what your exception handling mechanism is. Now, we understood exception handling mechanism and we understood why and how that exception comes, right? But do we know that exception handling? So I hope that many of you know how we do handle exception using the coding way, using Apex or LWC. But I'm pretty sure that most of you don't know how we can handle exception in our flow, right? So that's what our next slide says. What is that exception handling mechanism that we have in flow and how does it look like? And how can I avoid it? So in flow, if you get any error, if you get any exception, it will look something like this. Okay. It will say, oops, this is like customized. It will look like this. This error occurred when the flow tried to create records. Field exception, please enter at least 2 letters of the first name. Now, this is what I have built using fault connectors. So fault connectors, by the name says, it's a connector element which helps you to find out if there is any problem in your flow. Fault means there is a problem. Connectors means, fault connectors means finding out that problem in the flow. Now this particular screen that you see here This is a customized one. This I have built it using fault connectors. In the real time, when you get any error, you will just get this particular message. An error occurred, please contact your admin. Okay. But if you want your user to know what kind of error occurred, okay, then that can be handled using fault connectors. So with that said, I know if I keep on talking, it won't sound good. So let's move on to do the practical implementation so that you get an idea of what I'm trying to say. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make use of flows. Okay, and I'm going to automate the process of creating an account and a related contact using flows. But before I do that, one more thing I want to tell you is whenever you get an error, whenever you get an exception, what happens? An email gets triggered. Okay, how that email gets triggered and all that, that is taken care by Salesforce. But an email gets triggered showing what went wrong in your flow. Okay, now here you can configure that part as well. Normally, that email goes to the user who have triggered that flow. Okay, but you can even take care of that part. So how we do it? We go into our setup. In our quick find, we type process automation settings here. Okay, here you get a setting that you need to enable. Like you have to go down and you have to search for this option or this setting. Send process or flow error email to, like if an error occurred in my email in my flow, whom should the email get triggered? So here if you mention user who last modified the process or flow, that is the default one. Okay, but here what I will do, I want that error should go to a specific user. Okay, if that flow doesn't work properly, it shouldn't go to the user who have last modified the process. It should go to someone who has who is taking care of the flows that has been built in the system. Okay, so what I will do, I will select this option, Apex exception email recipients. Okay, which option? Apex exception email recipients. You have to select this and then you need to click on save. Okay, once you do that, is that over? No. Next, you need to select that email address where to whom you want that email to go. So you need to search for Apex exception email. You need to search here, click here on this particular option, and here you get it. You don't need to set this one. You need to select this one, add Salesforce user. So as of now, I will select someone from my own org. Okay, this org, from this org, I will select one user. Okay, so how can I do it? You will click on add Salesforce user. Then on the name, I will select here. I will search for the user. So for this particular org, there is a user named SFDC Academy. Okay, so I'll select this user and done. Click on save. Now this is done. Apart from this, if you want to send out this error, whatever error that comes, whatever exception that comes in your flow to someone else, so then you can mention that email ID is here. Okay, if you see here that help text, it mentions. Okay, so if you want someone who is from outside your org and you want them to know about the error which has occurred, so you can make use of this particular option. With this done, I will just select my internal user, the user which is there, and I'll click on save. This is done. Okay. Happen. Let me check. I clicked on save, but it's not moving forward. I think it's, yeah, it's done. It's done. Sorry, it's done. It's staying here. So it is done. Let me check once again. So I'll click on Apex email. Yeah, it's done. Okay. Now the use case which I mentioned is like I want to create an account, and when the account gets created, a contact should also get created. Okay, so that is like I want a user to enter the account details. So I will create a flow with the name screen, with the flow type as screen flow. Okay, and I'll click on create. Now, this is a very, this use case is very easy. And purposely, I took this use case so that you understand the concept. Here, I'm not trying to make the things complicated for you. So the first element that I'm going to use, so people who don't know this particular layout, this layout is called as auto layout. There is one more layout which is called freeform. So the difference between freeform and auto layout is you can drag and drop the elements from the freeform, whereas in auto layout, you will find all the elements here. And then what is this? This plus icon, this helps you to get the element, and the space, that gray line that appears between this plus icons are the connectors. Okay. So here I will just click on screen and I will use the some of the components. So the first component that I will drag here is text, and I will give the label as account name. And the next label I will take is phone. So the next component that I will drag here is phone, and I will say phone. Okay. And anything else I want? Let's take it, email. Yeah, email. I think that's enough. So let's click on done. Yeah, screen name. So it will be enter account details. Yeah, done. Now the next thing that I want is I will be using create element. Okay, because user will enter the details, and once they enter the details, the account should get created. So for that, I will use create records element, and I will say create account. Sorry for the typo. Many records to create, one, how to store record, how to set the record variables. It will all be done by them. Not they're going to take care of this. I will just say use separate resources and literal values so that people, I mean, whatever the user is entering, it should get stored to this particular object. So I'll select account, and now select the fields for the account. So the field will be, so the left side will be the field from your object, and the right side will be the values which will be coming from the components that you have added to your screen element. So I'll just say name, which is account name, and the value will be here, screen element, account name. Then was my phone. So here the value will be phone dot value. And the last one will be email. So email. Oh, I think email is not the field on the account. Okay, no worries. So if email is not there, I would just say, no worries, just give me only these two things. So yeah, here I will do one thing. Instead of email, I will just say, give me a pick list field, pick list component, and I'll remove this email, and I will say delete. And in this pick list, I will just type rating. So I hope you all know that rating is a field on the account object. And here the choice will be component type will be pick list, choice will be new choice resource. Here it will be pick list choice set. I will say ACC rating. Since it's a API name, you can't have space. So underscore object will be account. Data type will be pick list. Field will be rating. Done. Okay, now it will take the show the values from the account rating field. Click on done. Come here again and then map the field which is called rating. And here also I will just search the screen component rating. So now this is done. Click on done. Now the next thing I said, when the account gets created, the contact should get created. So as so people, I will be using create records element. And as soon, so before I go ahead and do everything, tell me that one field which is very important, so that whenever an account gets created, a related contact should also get created. What is that one field? Write in the chat quickly. Okay. So the field which I was mentioning, so that an account and contact should get related to each other, is this field. So I was actually asking you the field. So this is that field. Okay. So the field should be account ID. So contact.account ID should be equal to the ID which is coming from account ID from create account. Okay. And also there is a field called phone. I'll take it mobile phone. And here I will mention, give me the field, the value of this field to be phone dot value. Oh, sorry. That's it. So now whenever the contact gets created, it will get tagged to that account. Now this is done. I should show a success message to my user so that he or she should know that yes, the account got created and the contact related contact also got created. So let's see. Success message. I'll just say, yeah, it's an API name. Sorry for that. And there is also, I'll just say success. Running short of time. So, and here I will just say account created successfully. Okay, and for that, I will just mention the ID here. I will show the ID. If the account gets created, an ID will come, and how from where the ID will come. So account ID from create account, and same for the contact. Here I'll mention contact created successfully, and the resource, I will insert a resource. I will just say ID, that is contact ID from create. Oh, didn't come up. So ID. Yeah. Okay. This is done. If you want to give any make it rich text, just change the color. So this is done. Click on, and just let's make this bold. That's it. Click on done. That's it. Save. Sample flow, not flow, fault connector flow. This is done. Click on save. So I am running short of time. I would suggest you one thing: whenever you create a flow, never activate before debugging it. Debug is the important skill, and you have to debug your flow before running it. I'm running short of time, so I'll just activate it and I'll just test it directly on my org. But I won't suggest you to do this because this is not at all a good practice. So I'll just go to my org. Now my flow is active. I have, since it's a screen flow, and I'm very sorry if you find my screen too much clumsy, because I do try to work a lot on flows. I mean, and nowadays I'm working a lot on flows. So very sorry if you see too much of flows and anything here. So I'll just go here and I will. So here, from here, if you want to bring your flow on the screen, just click on flow, drag that element here, place it at the top, give the name here. So the name of my flow was fault, yes, sample fault connector flow. Okay, now click on save, and it is already active. Now, one more thing I will tell you here that I have not done or didn't explain to you is on my count object. Okay, I'll show you, because you won't understand that like what is the error that came. So on my account object, I have wrote a validation rule. I told you, right, that on my screen, I didn't mention that a phone is a mandatory field. Okay. So if you see here, there is no asterisk red mark, but I have written a validation rule that if the phone field is null, okay, purposely I have used this one. You can use function is null or is blank. So if it is null, throw an error saying that phone field cannot be blank. So let's see. Now I have not written, I have not shown the user. So I'll just mention is like sample account. Phone, I will leave it as blank. Rating, I'll give it as hot. Next. Yes. Now if you see here, what happened? An error occurred. But as a user, as the end user, do you understand what did the error occur? If I have not told you about this validation rule, did you have understood what is the error? Yes, no?
No.
No, right? This is the problem that happens now. So how can I understand? So one thing I told you, right? If any error occurs, the person, I mentioned that, right? In Apex exception email, that person will get an email. But the problem here is only that person whose email address I have mentioned is going to get the email. But what about the users? Okay, so yeah, I was telling you that you will receive a mail, right? So when I say them, you will receive the mail, it will be to the person who email ID has been mentioned. So this is the email that comes up this way. Okay. Here, if you see what was the error that was on my screen. So this was the flow that I was trying to create. Again, I will just mention sample flow, just the name, rating is warm, next. This is okay. And once you do it here, you don't know what is the problem. Okay. And if you want to know, something will come here. Again, I got a message here. So show same kind of message. And if you see phone value is null, the error occurred when the flow tried to create field custom validation exception, phone field cannot be blank, right? So this is the error that I'm getting. But I want this error to come. Okay, I want this error to come directly. The user should know what is the error that happened. So for that, what we are going to use is we are going to use our fault connectors. Now, why we are doing fault connectors? Because we are going to make use of the things that we learned now. What we learned now? So that's what we need to do. Now I will purposely change this to free form. Okay, and here I will bring up a screen. Okay, and here I will just say error. Why I bought this? Because I want to show the user what is the problem with the flow. And as again, I want that their flow should not stop. They should rectify that error and they should be able to create the account. Okay, so I will just say again display text, and here I will just say error screen. Okay, and here I will just say oops, something went wrong. And now one important thing here that I want to show you is this. If you want to say error message, you want to show this, right? So for that, we have this resource, which is called, you have to search for flow. In this flow, so this is flow is a, this you see, this is a global variable. In this, we have something called what fault message. So here it is flow dot fault message. It will show entire details. So I'll just make it bold and I will give the color little bit of red because all the exceptions are in red color, right? So I'll click on, sorry, to select this and I have to click on done. So now everything is in red color and it's done. Okay. Now, when I want this to error to happen, when the user is trying to create the record. So from here, you have to bring a connector. Okay. And this is the normal connector. So one connector is here. This was the normal one. And once you brought here, what is that? Fault one. So this is called fault connector. And user should rectify those problem and he should be allowed to continue. So again, from here, one connector, I'll place it here. Okay. And I will click on save as, and I will click as save. How does it look on my auto layout? It looks like this. What if I want to bring a fault connector in my auto layout? It's very easy. Suppose if I want to bring an fault connector in my auto layout. So I'll just click on this particular element and I'll click on add fault path. Okay. And then the fault connector will come up. So this is done. Save, activate, and go back to your screen. So let's just refresh the page. Now I'll refresh the page. My screen flow is ready. I'll give the name fault connector sample. Phone number, again, I'm not mentioning anything. Rating as hot. Click on next. Boom. Now the user can understand, oops, something went wrong. And yeah, there is a problem that the phone field cannot be blank. Now user can go back using previous button, enter the details, like the phone number, click on next. Okay. Again, the error. Now this, what is this error? I need to check. So let me check. What is the error? Yeah, this is the error. Phone field. Enter first name. Okay. So again, I think this error came. I have written a validation rule. So again, I have to take care of that as well. So create a contacts. And here the last name was there. I will enter first name. And I will give the name again as name field from the screen component. Done. Save as, save. Okay. Did I activated that? No, I have to activate it. Now again, please refresh your screen. Account name. This time I will again give sample flow, not flow, fault. Fault. CC. I won't give the account name. Wrong ring. Okay. Now I'll fill the number. Next. Huh. Luckily, account got created, and these are the IDs. Even this you can make it dynamic, but again, if I keep talking on this flow, the entire day won't be enough. So let's see. Yeah, account got created, and if you see here, two accounts got created. So don't worry. In your case, one account will get created. I have written a record trigger flow as well on the account object. So because of that, one more account got created. But yes, here I have, if you see here, the details, sample account, sample fault account, two times it's coming because first name and the last name of the contact, you gave the same account name, mobile number that you mentioned, and the account got mapped, contact got mapped to this account. Okay. So this is the way your fault connectors work. Okay. So the next use case is what Harshit has asked. So what if my user is using, or my user is working on something that is not related to screen. So the next kind of flow that we use maximum times is your auto launch flow. And in that we use record trigger flow, right? So record trigger flow is a part of your auto launch flow. So yes, now record trigger flow, this is the use case which I have bought from my recently that I have worked for a requirement. So the use case says, obviously I've changed the name. Urza Major Company wants to streamline policies pertaining to opportunity pipeline and decided to cut the clutter by deleting all open opportunities related to an account when the account turns hot. Additionally, they also want to handle and log any exceptions, yeah, if it occurs while the flow is executing. So I know most of you got confused what it is saying. So I'll just make it simple. It's typically like a Jira story which is coming up and you are getting confused. What is it, right? So the user says that whenever an account is getting created or edited, and if there is any opportunity is related to it, okay, and if that opportunity is not closed, like if the opportunity should be open, and at the same time the opportunity is related to some account, right? And if that account's rating is hot, okay, then you don't allow user to delete that open opportunity, okay? And if the user tries to delete it, okay, don't do anything. It should appear normal. Don't do anything. What should happen is an exception should get logged to a particular object or to a particular place, the exception which occurred, okay? that should get logged, and then I can work on that exception and I can rectify it. As a system admin, I can do. Okay, so this should happen. So for that, this is the steps that you should follow. The first and the foremost important rule. This you can achieve it without writing code, but yes, I want to do it in a declarative way. That is, sorry, this you can achieve it use by writing code, but I want to achieve without writing code. That is using Flow. So first thing that you need to do is you need to create a object that is custom object with the name Flow exceptions. Along with that, you have to create some fields. So yes, I have this fields you have to create: exception date time, fault message, fault exception message, fault exception number, flow exception number, record name, and username. And then you also need to create a customer tab so that whatever exception is handling, it is getting logged to that particular object, and that object is represented by tab. And yes, you have to achieve this using record trigger flow. So the first two things that I mentioned, you have to approach it using flow, that we are going to do it. The second thing that I mentioned, that create a custom object with the name flow exceptions along with the fields. I knew very well that we will run short of time, so I have already done that part. So here it is in the object manager. I have created one object with the name flow exception. Okay, this is a custom object. You know very well, underscore C represents custom object. These are the fields: exception date time, fault exception message, exception number, and the record name and the username. Why I have bought this particular username? So that who was the user who faced this problem. Okay, so yeah, this is done. Object name and field is created. The next thing is we need to create the flow. So I'll try to do that. So for that, we will go here under this home setup, home in the setup, and then search for flows. Click on new flow and the record trigger flow, and click on create. Now we will write the flow on the account object, because the triggering point is when the account is hot, then delete the opportunities and make sure that the opportunities are not in closed state. Okay, so I'll just select the object as account, and I will select a record is created or updated. Condition is when the account rating equals hot. And this should be selected only when the record is updated to meet the condition requirement. Now I'm talking about related objects, so I will just select account and related records, click on done. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is I should get the records, get the opportunities which is related to this particular account who is getting triggered. So for that, I will use get records. Okay, and I will give the label as get related opportunities. API name is this, object is opportunity, field should be. So I want to get the opportunities who is in the open state, right? So is closed equals false. Okay, and set opportunity, how many opportunities you want? I want all the opportunities. And where you want to store? I want to store the opportunities in the, where I want to store? I want to store the opportunity in the collection. I will create a collection and I will store all the opportunities which is related to this particular account. So I'll just create a collection variable with the new resource. I will give the variable name. API name will be OPP collections. Okay. Data type will be record. Yes, since I need a collection, I will say allow multiples, and the object will be opportunity. Okay. Click on done. Perfect. And what did I say? What I want to do? I want to delete. So if you want to perform a delete operation, all you need is the ID field, right? No other fields are needed to delete the records. So yes, select the opportunity fields to store in the variable. I just need ID. Rest of all I don't need. So I'll just select, I just make it that. When no records are written, set the specified variables as null. So if it doesn't return any record which is related to that account, set it as null. Click on done. Okay. Now, next thing I want to delete. So I will use the element which is delete records. And I will say delete, delete related opportunities. Okay. Specify conditions or use IDs. So I already have the record, right? So I will just use opportunity, the collection which I have got it from there. And do I have to give any condition? No. So I don't need to select that option. I'll just select this one, OPP collection, which I got from up. Once again, this one, okay. Click on done. What do you think? Have I made everything correct here? Okay, if it is not correct, we will get the error. So let's see. Click on save. We'll just give it a name, fault connector record trigger flow. Click on save. Activate it. And let's go to our UI. So let's find out any account which have an opportunity with it. So if it is not there, we will create one. So this is one. There is no opportunity. I'll create one. Opportunity name will be something recruiter 3. Okay, and let's give the value proposition, which is not the closed stage is not closed. Okay, now go to this account and check what is the rating. So rating is nothing. So we'll make the, so as soon as I make the rating as hot, okay, this opportunity should get deleted. So let's see details, rating, hot, and save. Let's see whether the opportunity got deleted or not. Yep, the opportunity got deleted. Now the second thing that they mentioned was if the opportunity is in closed state, okay, and the rating is hot, then it should not get deleted, right? And user should get the problem. So I'll create an opportunity with the same name, closed date again with the same, and this time I will mention as closed one, and I'll click on save. Now the opportunity is there. Again, I have to go to a rating field. First, I'll make it cold. Okay, now I'll make it hot. Let's see and save it. Yes. Now the error occurred. No records, something, this error occurred. But still, I want that user should complete this. Okay. So this error which occurred, okay, what should happen is I should log this error onto an object which I created, which is called flow exceptions. Okay. So for that, I need to make some changes in my flow. What? I have to use one more element that is called create record, because I don't want the flow of the user should stop. Okay. So I'll just say create flow exceptions. And how many records to store? I'll say 1. Use all the values from the record. No. Use separate resources. Yes. So the object will be flow exception, and the fields will be exception date and time. The field will be from the flow dot current date time. Then the next field will be flow error exception message. So from that we have a global variable called flow dot alt message. Next, the field is record name. Here I will just say account dot name. Okay, and one more field we have, which is called username. So here again we have a global variable called user dot user name. Okay, now click on done, click on save, done, activate, and now again go to your accounts, discard changes. I'll go to again this account. Let's have one opportunity is closed one, details rating is cold. I will change it to hot and save. Okay. What happened? everything's correct. Check. Okay, we are already short of time. So did I save this? Let me check once again. Okay. If this time it doesn't work, so I have a backup for that as well. Let me save this. No. Wait a sec. It's not happening. Let me deactivate this. I have similar kind of flow created as a backup. So the flow name is flow exception flow. Fault exception flow. Yeah. Here what I missed is I didn't create the fault connector. So in this flow, I didn't create the fault connector. So wait a sec. I made a mistake that I'll show you. So this create record should come as a fault path. So add fault path, and this you remove from here, cut element, paste it here. Because this is coming as a fault, right? It is an exception. So this should happen only when the exception is coming. Okay. Click on save as, save. Activate it. And let's try to do this now. Okay, now this vent rating is hot. Record didn't got deleted. I mean, opportunity dashboard is working fine. Now let's go and check in the flow exception. Is there any exception hand? Yeah, this is the earlier one. This is the recently created. So yes, if you see no records in Salesforce match or delete criteria. Okay, so this is the way you can make use of your fault connectors. This is the way you can do the exception handling. Yeah, that's it from my end.